Okay. Do you mind introducing yourself a little bit?
Yeah, my name is Ashton Haiste. I own Worlds Away. I've been operating at 666 Dundas Street in London since 1998. But I've actually been in the city of London since 1992. First starting at the Gibraltar flea market.
Interesting. And what about yourself? Like before you got into the business, what were you doing?
Well, I'm actually my past life. I'm a writer, editor. I was a news writer, sports writer, page designer, editor, and the economy just claimed my job. So I just started selling parts of my own collection at a flea market in Woodstock. And the first day I had sales of, I think, $144, and I was absolutely gobsmacked. And I thought, well, this is interesting. And it's just grown from there.
Very cool. It's a good start, I guess.
Yeah.
Is that something you'd recommend? On a side note, getting started at a flea market, or is that has that time passed?
I don't know the situation now. I suppose it would depend on the flea market, the city and the flea market. What else is available? This happened to be Woodstock, and at the time there was a small little comic shop, and then one store that sold collectibles but wasn't all that great. Mm-hmm. So I basically started mostly selling music, cassettes and tapes. Cassettes and tapes, same thing. Tapes and CDs.
Yeah.
And so what would happen is some people knew I was there, and it's, would you take these 2 tapes for this 1 tape? Yes. Would you take these 2 CDs for this 1 CD? And all of a sudden it just grows and grows and grows and grows and grows. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It just kind of takes off from there, right?
Yes, exactly.
It's a good business model. 2 for 1 every time.
Exactly. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah.
I'm curious. How did you come up with the name Worlds Away?
When I wanted to do a little bit of advertising and get some signage, I think it took me 30 seconds, and the two names I came up with. The first one was Dream Museum, and the other one was Worlds Away. So I asked my wife, and she said, "Well, no one buys things at museums. Go with the other one." So I went with Worlds Away. So it took like 30 seconds.
No, that's pretty good. That's fair. How important do you think the name is to your business? Just kind of a way people know you, or is it something more?
Like I hear people talk, and it's, I don't know, it's where you going, or people are answering their phones. Where are you? I'm at Worlds. It's just easy to say. That wasn't the intention. I just thought it sounded cool.
Yeah, no, I get it. Having a nice shorthand for your business name helps.
Yeah, it does. It does.
So how long has the store been open?
At 666 Dundas, I actually opened July 1st, 1998.
So a very long time.
Yes.
Fantastic. So have you ever had any failures or setbacks since, well, I'm sure you have since you've been open for so long, but...
Yeah. Well, probably the biggest setback was...
We're offering a free strategy call for game store owners that are serious about growing their business. That's right. Sign up now for a complimentary consultation and let us show you how we can transform your store's marketing game. Don't miss out on this incredible journey to level up your digital marketing and drive your store's growth to new heights. Head over to our website at manaversesaga.com/MMA to register for your free strategy call today. It's time to dominate the digital marketing arena and achieve success for your tabletop game store. So what are you waiting for? Book your call now and let's make your store the ultimate gaming destination.
Magic's always been in my blood. I've been playing since Alpha. And so I quickly set up an account with Wizards of the Coast. And at that time, they were the only distributor of Pokemon in North America, I believe.
Okay.
So I was able to get as many boxes as I wanted. It was incredibly, incredibly hot. So I
remember.
So I had friends who had stores. They'd be driving in from Guelph and Kitchener and Sarnia and to buy boxes. And I just said, just give me 10% above my cost and pay for the, of course, the taxes and the shippings, and everything was fantastic. Then all of a sudden, Base 2 came out, where they kind of like Chronicles for Magic,
Mm-hmm.
It went white border, and no one wanted it. And I had cases and cases and cases sitting in the back rotting. So I had, through Wizards, the payment immediately goes on your credit card. So I had this massive credit card bill that I just had to chip away, and basically selling the stuff below cost just to get rid of it. That was my first major setback, and it was a tough one.
Was that early on in the business life?
Yeah, it was. So that didn't help because I still had to pay my at the time my Diamond bill and my Capital comic bill and pay other bills.
Fun times. Just what you want all at once, right? So
exactly, yeah.
So moral of the story, well, I guess there is no real good moral. Hopefully they don't do a Chronicles again, basically.
Yeah, well, they've come close to doing stupid stuff, like Cold Snap, the Lost Ice Age set, which was just bullshit. But
yeah, that was just
it was just a selling point. But they really learned their lessons from Chronicles. I lost so many customers because of Chronicles.
What was it exactly about it that turned customers off, other than the fact that it was reprints of old cards? Because that on its own doesn't really turn them off, right?
Well,
like that's something that's driving the sale of cons right now, the reprints of the fetch lands and things like that.
Yeah. Well, but at that time, Legends was out, so people spent all this money on very expensive multicolored legendary creatures and things like Chromium. Those cards were expensive, value-wise. Not today, but at the time. And to assemble this set and reprinting some stuff from The Dark and Arabian Nights, and they were just pissed off that now I could go out and buy, let's say, a Blood Moon. I could spend, at the time, it was worth about a quarter, as opposed to buying the one from The Dark, which is worth several dollars. And that just annoyed people. And I said, that's it. I've had it with Magic. Some people came back. Some never did.
Interesting. Because it doesn't seem to happen, well, not as much at this point in time, right? No one really got turned off by Modern Masters.
Yeah, it's... I see people try to sell boxes for enormous amounts of money online. And if you don't get one of those... Well, if you don't get 2 or 3 of those 5 or 6 cards, it's an absolute waste of your money.
Well, isn't opening sealed product for the average player a waste of their money? Like if it's just a collect, right? If it's not a sealed or a draft or something like that, and you're doing something with the booster packs, it's kind of a losing gamble most of the time. Yeah,
but if you look for Modern Masters, save for those 5, 6 rares. A lot of the other rares at the very beginning were selling for a lot of money, and it was worth your while. Now they're sewered pretty much.
No one seems to be too upset about that, though. Modern Masters is still seen as this high-value set that everyone kind of wants to get their hands on.
Yeah, I suppose it also harkens back to many, many moons ago when Magic decided to reprint the beginning of their card game in the in those box sets, those sealed box sets where the corners were square, but it had a Magic back. And that's when a lot of people started to split cards, cut the corners, re-glue them. And by the way, here's my black border Mox. Or but those cards, even the square borders, sell for a very good dollar, and the seal product of those sells for a very, very good dollar. And I just don't understand why.
Nah, I guess maybe just the collectability, right? There's just not that many, so scarcity creates value.
Yeah, at the time, people used them as proxies. Now you can print off proxies so easy and just slip them into a sleeve.
Yeah,
without spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars on this collector's edition.
Well, Magic players are an odd bunch, right? Some people spend a ton of money getting the shiny version of their cards.
Yep.
And an entire deck that could cost them 10 times what it would normally if they just wanted to get the regular version. But
I know.
to them, it's worthwhile, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. How about something exciting? Tell me about a big win that you've had with your store. What's the most proud moment you've had?
Well, both of them have happened this year. I got an email from Wizards of the Coast saying that I now qualify to upgrade my status from Advanced to Advanced Plus.
Very
I
cool.
immediately call them and find out what's this all about. And I had to sign an agreement with them. And I had to email a photo of the agreement because they don't want paper copies of anything.
Yeah.
And so that means that I get more buy a box promos, more from the vaults. Hopefully coming up, they're reprinting the first 4 dual decks. Hopefully I'll get a few more extras of those. So I can pass them along to more of the product that my core customers have. I can pass them to them, and then I just found out about a month ago, 6 weeks ago, that I qualified to run the preliminary Pro Tour qualifiers.
Cool.
So I just sanctioned my first one for January. So yeah, it's been quite cool.
So business is going well then.
For Magic,
on the Magic front.
Yeah, it is.
How difficult was it to get to Advanced and then Advanced Plus? Like, what did you have to do to build that up?
Well, I suppose looking back on it, it took a long time. I'm trying to remember these numbers, but you have to have a core group of players of 250 at minimum that have played at your store for over the last 12 months. I'm at something like 420. You have to have run 125 tournaments. I generally run 300 to 400 a year. But the toughest one is you have to sign up 50 new people with a DCI number each 12 months, period. And that's pretty tough.
Yeah, I'd imagine that would be difficult.
Yeah, that's the hardest one. But so far, so good. And you have to have a tournament with a minimum number of 50 players. But
which is not too difficult.
Yeah, because of pre-releases, and now with my preliminary PTQs, and I now run Star City Games Invitational qualifiers. By the end of this month, or the end of November, I'll run my 6th one of the year. So because of that, but it's signing up 50 people. Man, that's tough.
Yeah, I think that would probably be the hardest metric to meet.
Yes,
because it tends to saturate, right? Like there's only so many Magic players in each local community, and the growth is not super huge.
Yeah, in London, there's businesses running tournaments. Stores running tournaments. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 5, and for a city of 360,000, that's a lot.
That is a lot.
Yeah.
So are you doing anything special to recruit new people? Are you trying to push it, or are you just letting it happen naturally and it's just working out for you?
I think it's just word of mouth. One thing I do that I've always done is if I get a massive collection in, I tend, unless it's a really insane card, I don't sell it online. I only sell it at the shop because I want to keep it local. When I sell cards, I sell for 15 to 20% under the near mint price from Star City. So people know that, if you're looking for a key card, come to Worlds Away because it'll be cheaper there. And I just try on a weekly basis. I just try to give back to the community because they've given me a business. They've given me a livelihood. So I just try to be a nice guy. I've run tournaments where I've asked guys, what do you want the entry fee to be? If it's a standard tournament and I charge X dollars for entry, I always put it directly into the prize pool for credit. If you guys want to spend an extra $5, the prize pool goes up $5 per person. And I just talk to my players a lot. So it's just word of mouth.
You mentioned your online sales. Was that always part of your strategy?
No. When it came to, because I'm a hobby store and I sell comics and movies and action figures and other toys, and model kits and T-shirts. If I get something very, very unique in, I've got a friend who just pops it up online, and then I just give him a cut, and I don't have to worry about dealing with the other person who's purchasing it. I don't have to deal with mailing it out, and he's happy. He gets some money, which sometimes he spends at the store, sometimes he doesn't. So basically, it cuts down on my time because I still work almost 60 hours a week, week in and week out. So yeah, so only really something really, really special.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. So labor of love, right?
Yeah.
It's interesting because it's as if you have some sort of an employee who's willing to help you out while at the same time not really.
Yeah, it's I basically have volunteers so I can have the odd day off, and I mean, yes, they can have whatever junk food they want and at the store, and I just pay them in credit, so it makes them getting their stuff much cheaper at the store. I just don't have the money to hire someone part time.
Yeah, and a volunteer basis is a win-win for both.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Okay. So tell me what your typical day looks like. If it's an average weekday and you have to go and open the store, what is it?
Well, because my store has hardwood floors and there's no carpeting, there's no static electricity, which means the dust goes everywhere. So every day I try to get the annoying stuff finished at the beginning. I have to clean a part of the store every morning just so it doesn't overwhelm me, and then actually the first thing I always do is open up the laptop to answer any emails, questions, comments, and I get that out of the road, and then I can do the cleaning, and and then it gets to the work of. I always have comics to bag and board all the time because I have collections in the back that I'm processing, as well comic collections and magic collections, and it's people walk in and they see, oh man, you're sitting around all this cool stuff and movies on in the background, and they think this is really cool, but once you clean 2-3 hours every day and I have tournaments 5 days a week, so the toilet bowl's got to get cleaned because they're all guys and they all stand, and there's always the puddles, and
cleaning is critical.
Making sure the garbage goes out twice a week. But what's nice is I don't have to have a shirt and tie on. It's my baby. It's grown over the years, and it's and sometimes it's a pain in the butt, but more than not, it's fun to be there. And I suppose the biggest challenge is trying to predict what your customers are going to want. This isn't magic. I'm going through my catalog. Are people going to want this comic? And you order it, you get it. People don't buy it, you can't send it back. You're stuck with it. So you hope someone sells it or buys it. More than not, you put it out for $1 and get a little bit of your money back. But that's probably the biggest challenge is trying to predict what people want. That's tough.
Yeah. Yep. It's hard to tell the future, right?
Yeah.
So what you said that comics are kind of like hit and miss sometimes.
Yep.
Depending on whether or not people want them. What's if you could estimate the proportion of like your products that don't sell, that you take a chance on, that turn out to not work out and you have to kind of just clear out?
Well, that's a good question. I suppose if you lump all the products together, the non-magic products, I'd have to say maybe a fifth to a quarter. Just like you think this looks awesome and people are going to want it, and it's, why aren't people buying it?
Yeah, it just doesn't turn out right.
And then there are things that I look at.
Dreamblade.
Yeah. Like I just don't understand the appeal of the pop vinyl figures. They essentially all look the same with different things stuck to them.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, kind of like Mr. Potato Head. They're all the same with different things stuck to them. But man, people love the pop figures. And finally, I finally got on board and say, okay, fine, I'll start carrying more. And yeah.
Sometimes you just can't fight it, right?
I know.
They just like, I don't understand it, but you want it? Okay, I'll stock it. Also, one thing you mentioned before, there are 5 other stores in London.
Yeah.
So what's the competition scene like? Not as tournament-wise, I mean just between businesses.
I'm sorry, Thomas. Did you say tournament-wise or just business?
I mean, not as in tournaments. I mean, like, how do you deal with the other business owners? Is it friendly or is it not so much?
Well, since the store's been open for quite a while in London, 24 years. I know most of the people well, and just an acquaintance. Each one has its own little niche. For example, one really specializes in statues, and people know you want a statue. You go to this one shop, and he'll probably have it. Another one is if you're looking for a specific Warhammer product, you know to go to this one. That's probably and me. I've been noted for having the best selection in singles for Magic, and for the biggest backstock in comics. I mean, yes, I've got the odd statue. I used to carry more anime, but an anime shop opened up, and I thought, okay, fine. You're just going to sell anime. This would be absolutely stupid for me to continue carrying it. So I stopped doing that. Mm-hmm. You adjust, but each one has its own unique. One does more sports cards than another, and you just adapt.
Try not to step on each other's toes, kind of thing, right?
Yeah, just like Will Wheaton says, don't be a dick.
It's good advice.
That's true. Don't be a dick.
Yeah. Yep. Speaking of being a dick, I don't know if you've been following the whole cheating scandal that's going on recently.
Yeah. I just watched that slow motion video of, that cheating scandal, and then this one that's cropped up with Jared Betcher and shuffling. Mm-hmm. And I just watched that slow mo video, and it's and when you watch it in slow mo, it's like, oh my God, he is so cheating. But when you watch it on normal speed, you just don't pick it up.
It's just smooth, and
it's smooth.
Very subtle, right?
It's very subtle. So the judges, the opponent, and the judges, I can easily see them not seeing it. But now, cat's out of the bag. It's like, did you see the video? I guess it got to be more than a year ago, of Melissa Del Toro playing an extra land. That was all over the place.
Really? No, I didn't see that one.
Yeah, they would slow down and go, okay, here's the one land. She does this, she does this, she does this. There's the second land. Yeah, it's the same thing.
And that's an interesting gray area too, right? Because you could conceivably, I forgot I played a land this turn. It's a complicated turn. There's a lot of stuff going on. That could happen.
Everybody at the feature mat table missed it too.
Because nobody would assume, hey, you're a trusted pro. You wouldn't cheat. You wouldn't make a mistake. You know how to play this game.
Yeah.
But actual cheating, like the deliberate, like the shuffling, that's not a mistake. I accidentally saw the top card. I saw the top card again. I'm just the way I shuffle, right?
Yeah.
So with all this cheating kind of coming to the forefront now, have you ever had to deal with that in your store?
Yeah.
As soon as there's money on the line, right, people will do a lot of things for it.
I have had, I suppose the people know from me that I don't tolerate cheating, and I don't tolerate theft. Can you remember this one time this guy came up from downstairs where my tables are and said, Brad, someone stole these cards off me. I marched right downstairs, and in very colorful language, I said, if I find out, give them back to Greg. And if you don't, if I find out, you will have hell to pay. And it's going to be, may or may not involve physical interplay, but we shall see. Next day, he calls me up laughing. The person who put them in an envelope left them in his mailbox.
Nice.
So obviously, I scared the hell out of that person. There have been times where people have cheated, and I've had to just do the regular talk to different people, and I've had to make a judgment. But I suppose the toughest one that actually sort of bit me in the ass a bit is it was a pre-release, and I have midnight pre-releases, and my last one is at 10 a.m. Everything has been fine for years and years and years and years, and these two people were accused of taking some cards from the midnight pool and adding them to their 10 o'clock pool. And I talked to them. I talked to other people. No. I saw a picture of a stack of cards on the kitchen table saying, "See, Brad, we left the cards on the kitchen table because I crashed at his house." So I make a ruling. Then I find out one of the two people, because when you do something and you get away with it, down the road you start to brag. And this person started to brag that I got away with this.
Pull the wool over your eyes.
Yeah. So these were two people that I called friends, and one is out of town right now. The person who was doing the talking, I confronted him and I said, "Were you saying this?" "Oh yeah, but I didn't cheat. I was just boasting." So I said, "Okay, at the very least, you were boasting around town to other players that you cheated at my store, which brings my store into question. That might even be worse than cheating." And I haven't seen him to date since then. The other person I just had to send a Facebook message to, and I said, "Man, I thought we were friends, and why would you do this to me?" And I haven't heard anything from him whatsoever. We're still friends on Facebook. He didn't defriend me, but that hurt me the most. Is two people I thought were friends screwed me.
Yeah, you think you can trust some people, and then it turns out that they're not worth it.
But everybody knows in the community now that they did it, and they pulled the wool over everyone's eyes, and they drew me into the situation. So, and it was my other players that essentially have done that. But yeah, that thing is that was the worst one.
Frustrating, right?
Yeah, it is.
And it's
a card game, for God's sakes. None of you people are going to be on the Pro Tour. I mean, even though I've had about a half a dozen of my players make it to the Pro Tour, but geez, it's a card game, and you're going to, what is this, for an extra 2 packs? Really?
Yeah, it's definitely interesting, right? Because there's not a lot of money or a lot of value on the line.
No,
but there is more than nothing.
Yeah.
Like it seems rather unlikely that they would have a casual game and then also, randomly draw a few extra cards just because they really wanted to win.
There's one guy at the store, he would cheat in casual games because he wanted to win. I'll tell you the funny story that players downstairs caught this guy cheating, even told me, and they were all laughing. He drew a card from under his ass. He actually planted one of his cards under his ass. So he went to scratch his ass, lift up his cheek, and 2 guys saw him draw a card from under his butt. And they stood up and go, "You just drew a card from under your ass."
Slick move.
Next game, he's shuffling up. Card drops on the floor intentionally, puts his foot over top of it, starts playing, accidentally drops a card, picks up 2 cards. Same 2 guys win. "You just drew 2 cards from the floor." And one of them has been there since the start of the game.
Good thing somebody was watching.
Seriously, yeah. So that was the funniest one. And yeah, he actually quit Magic.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
You'd think after being kind of hated out of a community for basically abusing everyone's trust, that you're all there to have fun and you're all there to be, have the integrity of not cheating.
Yeah.
You would at least bow out.
Yeah. He continued to play for a short time, but everybody added the nickname Cheaty to his last name. And so that's how he's not playing Magic.
It wasn't Burton Cheaty, was it?
Pardon me?
Said it wasn't Alex Burton Cheaty, was it?
Nope.
No, different GD.
Nope.
I think it's kind of funny that he got banned again.
Yes, it is.
Caught twice, but banned for 3 years this time, I think.
3 years. Yeah, the other guy got 4 years. And did you read the guy that got banned 4 years? Did you see his tweet?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God. Really? He brings up what? Murder and rape, was it?
Yeah.
Good Lord. Really? You don't deserve to be playing Magic.
Yeah, he's just a terrible person. He's just upset that people caught him.
Yeah.
That's the real thing. I think it's just he was very angry that he was caught in the act and got punished for it. Well, to compare yourself to I'm not murdering anybody. No, you weren't murdering anyone. That's fair. Yeah. You were defrauding multiple people, essentially, out of like a fairly large sum of cash by cheating all the way to the top, right?
I love what they did. They gave away the $3,300 to charity that those two guys would have done. I read that as I was closing the store yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And it listed all the charities, and I thought that was fabulous.
That's probably their best bet.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way to really repay the opponents who were potentially cheated, right? Because there's no way to determine where they would have fallen had everything gone properly.
Yeah.
But
that was fabulous. Just give them the charities. Fantastic.
Yeah, definitely don't give it to those guys.
Yeah.
So if somebody wanted to open their own store, and they came to you asking for advice, what would you tell them?
Well, I would. The biggest thing is find an area where there's less competition. Like if you can find a city that doesn't have a store that sells gaming, comics, you'll do very, very well. That's the biggest thing is to try and find the right location. And there are actually a few cities in southwestern Ontario where they're very underrepresented represented in that light, and one of them is Guelph.
Mm-hmm.
Guelph can easily have at least 2 more stores. It's no. Oh man. Visit. There's one of my customers was actually asking me the same thing. He's thinking of opening up a gaming store.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember what city it was, but it's like 15,000, which is a good size.
Okay.
And he just asked me what sells, what doesn't sell, and then I would ask him, do you want to go the full bore with action figures and such? And he said no, because there's a department store in town that sells action figures. I said, well, then just go for gaming. Find a place where the rent is very reasonable, because you're going to be a destination. You're not going to be walk-in traffic, and people will start to know who you are. And then just do online advertising. I dropped my Yellow Pages ad years ago because it's an absolute waste of money. No one uses the phone book at all,
especially at this point in time.
Yeah. So like pick the right city. Really know your product, and just try to minimize your overhead costs at the beginning. And it's I suppose that's the biggest thing is location. Yeah.
Okay, so basically 4 things.
Yeah.
Go to the frontier.
Yeah.
Try and get to the place where, be a pioneer a little bit and carve out a niche somewhere.
Yep.
Be lean.
Yep.
Online presence.
Yeah. I mean, because of social media, you can get your like for example, for me, I just announced my first preliminary PTQ. Mm-hmm. So it's very easy for me to post the information on the MTG Ontario, on the Southwestern Ontario Magic board, my own Facebook, London Magic. There's one in Windsor. But then my friend Rick Miles, who does the store generally on Saturdays, he's also a level 1 judge, which is great to have a level 1 judge in house.
Mm-hmm.
I've lost my train of thought.
Posting online?
Yeah, but he also has contacts in the judge community. These groups of players in Orangeville, in Newmarket, in Brampton, in Sarnia, through Trent who has a shop in Sarnia.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really easy to get the word out just through social media, and you quickly become a destination place, and it's free.
Yeah,
it's wonderful, and you can easily tap into that.
So build a network.
Yeah. For my comics, for $5 a month through Diamond Comics, I'm on the comic book locator list. So if you're looking for comics, all you do is go to Diamond Comics, go to the list, punch in a city. There's all the comic shops, and that's $5 a month.
Yeah, good stuff.
It's fabulous. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so you mentioned the locator. What are some other tools that you use during your business that you wouldn't be able to live without?
Well, because I've been buying off Wizards of the Coast since the 90s, you can go on there and just punch in London, Ontario, and you can see the stores that run tournaments. And you just punch into that store, and you can see the specific tournaments they're coming up for the coming weeks. I mean, that is fabulous. I mean, that's just for Magic. I honestly don't do much advertising anymore, just because of social media, because of a comic book locator, and for the Wizards tournament locator, a store and tournament locator service. Yeah.
So those are the main resources?
Yeah. You don't have to spend a lot if you've been in business for a while. If not,
what if you haven't?
Yeah, at the beginning you might have to take some ads out, but just hand out flyers. Yeah.
This is kind of a new one. What's the most important activity in your business? Like, what's the one thing that you spend the most time on that you think is the most important?
Pricing singles. Selling Magic singles has been my number one seller for a very long time. And I spend probably an inordinate amount of time just pricing singles, putting them in the penny sleeves and putting them in the binders. Like, I've got 55 rare binders, and each set comes out, another binder's added to the fray, and I have to find new places where just to put the freaking binders. Yeah, I spend so much time, and especially if I get a monstrous collection in, which I got in last week, it's just
time consuming, right?
Like you pick a modern staple card, and I had at least 4 of them. If it was a rare, I had like 20 of them if they were commons and uncommons.
Wow.
And then decide, do I put all my Gitaxian probes in my good binders, or do I put it in the set it's supposed to be in? It's just and something you're just sitting on your ass and you go, God. I just look at these cards in front of me and go, that's it for today.
And just stacks and stacks to go.
Stacks and stacks. That's it. I've had it. I got to go outside and stand outside and have a coffee. It's Magic singles. Just phenomenal amounts.
Yeah, I guess they would just keep accumulating.
Yep.
So how important is it to have some sort of a system, right? Because when you start out, you don't have that much product necessarily, or you only have a certain number of cards, a handful of binders perhaps.
Yeah.
But like it keeps growing and growing. You have to work out a way of filing and presenting and putting them in your case. And
yep. I suppose if someone was starting a store and they're just starting with Magic, is just pick all the sets that are in standard. Just open a few boxes of each and put a binder for each set or each block if you choose to do that way. Mm-hmm. And then just as the blocks and sets come out, it just grows and grows and grows. People bring in cards and go, can I trade these modern cards that are out of print for these standard cards? Well, I mean that's fabulous because
generally that's a good deal.
You can open more boxes to replace those, but you can't open boxes to replace those, and all of a sudden you start to go back as you go forward with your sets. You start to go backward with your sets. at the same time. And it doesn't take long, believe me.
Good strategy.
Where you look and go, holy crap! I now have 10 binders, 20 binders, 30 binders. Yeah,
and it just keeps going from there.
Yep.
Cool. Have you ever had a terrible customer?
Yeah.
Like, can you tell me your worst customer story?
Oh boy, worst customer story.
I'm sure you've got a few.
Yeah.
Given how long it's been.
Yeah. I would obviously have to include the one with those two guys cheating the magic. There was one guy, and he was a comic book subscriber, and I never ask for any deposits. I just ask, if you cancel a title, please remember that I order it 2 months in advance. So if you cancel it, you realize you might get 2 more issues. And 98% of the time it's fine. But there was this one local guy. He was a friend. He would bring in family members, and we would talk and watch movies, and everything was cool. He had all this stuff, and I would just send him a Facebook message or leave a message, call him and leave a message on his service. Not coming in, not coming in, not coming in, not coming in, not coming in. And it's like $500. And for the next 2 months, the stuff keeps adding up. So I went, okay, well, I just got screwed. So he would leave a message on Facebook for a mutual friend. And then after it, I would say, well, I see you still exist. You still live in the area because you've stolen from me. And essentially it is stealing, because I've purchased it. I can't sell it because it's very specialized product. I have to cheap it out, which means
lost to you.
Yeah. And so you're actually taking food off my table. You're preventing me from paying my bills, a fraction of them, of course.
Yeah.
And I went, we happened to meet briefly in the bank, and he said, I'll pop right over. I'll talk to you. I'll straighten all this out. You didn't do that. Why are you a liar, a cheat, and a thief? And then what's cool is all the people that were on the thread now know that what he did, and they were all expressing, he did what to you? What? So each time I ever see his name, I always say, so how are things going, cheat? Because he lives in the area. I'm just trying to guilt him. And then the next one was, and I don't know about this one, and this one wasn't as bad. But this man used to come in with his 2 daughters, and his daughters were awesome. And we'd chat, and I'd put on movies that they would love, and they would spend a few hours on a Saturday, and everything was just fabulous. And he collected action figures. So I call him up and I say, you've got these 5 or 6 figs in, and nothing happens. And no response whatsoever. And then I finally sent him the very last message I sent, and I didn't pester him that much, like I did that the other person. Is it's really a shame that you've done this to me, because I will never ever see your daughters again, and I thought they were so cool, and we had a cool little relationship, and shame on you. And that was it.
You seem to have had a lot of trouble with people pre-ordering.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's like 98% are fine. They completely understand. There's just over a span of 16 years at this location and 22 years in London, you're obviously going to get hit with one that really, really hurts every 2-3 years. And
yeah,
that's part of the business. That's part of the business.
Okay, so let's transition from the shitty customers to What's your best customer? Like, what's your favorite moment with a customer experience?
Holy crap! It's
if you could pick.
If I could pick, well, there's a customer that I don't see too much. He stopped in because going to Western, getting a degree, having a life, having a very, very good job. I decided as a thank you to my customers, one December for Magic Singles, that if you bought X number of dollars, and I can't remember what it was, something like if you buy $100 worth of singles, I'll give you 20% off. If you buy 200, it'll be this and this and this. And people were coming out of the woodwork, just topping up their collections, completing decks, completing commander decks. And all of a sudden, Chris comes in. Man, I think he bought $900 worth of singles.
Big spender.
Yeah, and he just rolled hundreds out. Because he's a collector. So he was buying all this high end stuff, dual lands, Krakus, play sets of wastelands. It just went on and on and on. And it was like $900 that I sold in like a minute.
That's a good day.
And that was like holy shit. It's sometimes I sit at the back, like my till's at the front, but I sit at the back of my table just so I can work on the singles. And that's where all the binders are, so I can watch the binders. And sometimes you sit there, and you look at the laptop and you go, holy crap, I've been here for 4 hours. No one's been in. And you go, oh, God, this is just going to be a crap day. And I got to go home. And my wife, Ellen's going to say, so how was the day? Well, shitty, because et cetera, et cetera. And then all of a sudden, and this was sort of like yesterday, guy comes in and goes, can I get a box of cons? Okay. And two guys come in, and I could get a box of cons each. Okay. And another guy comes in and says, can I get a box of M15? And it's like, holy shit. And then singles. Some guys came in and we had a little seal tournament. And all of a sudden, the end of the day, it was a very good day, but it's only because of 8 people. And sometimes you just shake your head. That
it's the 80-20 rule.
Yeah.
20% of your customers are giving you 80% of your money.
Yep. So, yeah. But sometimes it's like, okay, at 6 o'clock, I'm going home with a terrible day. That still happens. I mean, that's life.
Yeah. I mean, not every day is going to be a winner.
Yeah.
If you had to go back in time, like way back in time for you, 20 years ago, and you were going to do things differently, what would you do? Would anything change? Other than obviously stocking every Black Lotus you could get your hands on.
Yeah. I could remember walking into there was a wholesaler, and it was owned by Silver Snail, and it was on Lakeshore Boulevard. It was called Andromeda, and they had a day for retailers. So I went down with a few friends from Kitchener-Waterloo. I walk in the front door, and there were 2 skids of revised boxes, and huge skids. So the boxes were stacked up. Like each skid was maybe like 4 or 5 feet. So 4 feet, 4 by 4, 5 by 5. It was I'm 6'2", so it was at my eye level, and I can't remember how much the boxes are, but they were really, really, really cheap. And holy crap, I would take a loan out of 10 grand and just buy it all.
For sure.
I mean,
it's basically worth their weight in gold at this point.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you're going to get like other than the lands, it's not so hot, but my God, I mean, all you need is 3 lands per box, and you've 3-4 times the value of your box. And yeah, that's one thing I would do. The other thing I would do is to get into a storefront quicker than I did. So from 92 to 98, I was at Gibraltar Trade Center, and it's only open Saturdays and Sundays. But because of my location, because people who I knew, it was actually open Fridays as well. So if you've got a winter storm, that shuts down a quarter of your month in sales. But if you're open 7 days a week, you get a storm for 3 days, you still got 27 or 28 days.
Yeah, you're at a 10th instead of 25%.
Yeah, so I would have gone into a storefront quicker. Because even if you factor in all the overhead of a storefront, because the overhead at a flea market is so much more, it's scary more for the same square footage. I would have done that quicker.
Okay, so make the leap and get out there.
Yeah, like starting at a flea market and the way I did for a little while is fantastic to get your name out in a city or a town, and then just make the leap.
Cool.
Yeah.
So what's in store for Worlds Away in the near future?
Well, I've got a Grand Prix, a GPT coming up this Sunday for New Jersey. November 30th on a Sunday, I've got my next Star City Games Invitational Qualifier. Then in December, one thing that I do is to give back to players is throughout the year at all my regular sanctioned tournaments, you earn points, 3 for a win, 1 for a draw. And the top 32 point getters over 12 months are entered into a free 32-person tournament. So you play 5 rounds, and the top 8 go into a free draft. Each one of the top 8, my friend Cheryl, she's an amazing stained glass artist. So I have these 8 mugs to give out to the top 8 that say Magic the Gathering, Worlds Away, all the 5 symbols, and each one to get those. And then in first place, we'll get this. She's a stained glass artist, and she has this stained glass trophy that she made, and that goes to the winner. So this will be the second year I've done it, and then in January I've got my first preliminary Pro Tour qualifier. So this is completely new territory for me, for a lot of people, I guess. So that's it for the Magic side. Comic wise, there's stuff every week. It's and plus trying to predict what people are going to want for Christmas. That's tough. That's even harder than predicting the regular stuff throughout the year. So basically, it's just like new Magic grounds, new Magic territories. Yeah,
very exciting. Cool stuff. Okay, well, thanks for coming on. It's been great. If you want to tell the listeners where they can find you online and in real life, that'd be great.
Alrighty. It's Worlds Away, of course. The website is worldsawaylondon.com, all lowercase, no punctuation. The Facebook page is just Worlds Away. It's an open group. There's about 311 members. It just asks to be liked. And just make sure you're not a woman or they tend to be women selling Ray-Ban sunglasses from Abu Dhabi. I've made that mistake. Someone called me up once and said, "Brad, you're selling dildos now." And I went, so I had to defriend this person because they're just trying to sell their products. So that's the Facebook page. The address, believe it or not, is 666 Dundas Street in London, Ontario. And the phone number is 519-433-1267.
Great. Well, thank you for coming on, and we'll talk to you later.
Cheers, man.
I hope you enjoyed that interview with Brad. If you're looking for more about game store entrepreneurship and the Magic community, check out ManaverseSaga.com. Home of the Manaverse Podcast, this is where we talk about tips and tactics you can use to grow your local community and your business. From there, you can find out more about Manaverse.com and sign up to get early access as a beta tester. We are currently looking for game store owners and Magic players to help work out the kinks and give us some honest feedback about what we see as the best tool to take Magic into the future. If you like what you're hearing, subscribe to the Manaverse Podcast on iTunes and leave a review. Sharing this episode is also a great way to help the show. Every reviewer will get a shout-out on an upcoming episode. I've been your host, Tom Traplin, and as always, thanks for listening.